The epic is a long narrative heroic poem. It is heroic in the sense that it records the fortunes of a people, including trials, tribulations, failures, and successes of a people in order to survive. In other words, it is a heroism of survival. People first had to survive against the elements, the weather, and the climate, and eventually people had to survive against other species. An epic contains the cultural genetic code of a people. Some examples of epics include the Bible, Star Wars, and even Harry Potter. Think about what each people went through in order to survive and the culture seen in each example. The Jedis had to defeat the Sith Lord, the Jedi had its own culture, as did the wizards of Harry Potter. Features of an epic include primary and secondary epics. Primary epics began as oral and were eventually written down. An example of this is Beowulf. Secondary epics started out as written, and an example of this is Paradise Lost by John Milton. Epics contain the supernatural. An example of this can be seen in Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Sir Gawain cuts the head off of the Green Knight, and he picks it up and rides away, carrying his own head. Epics also contain epithets or formulaic names, which are adjectives or descriptive phrases expressing a quality characteristic of the person or thing mentioned. Examples can be seen in the Odyssey when Homer describes the sea as wine dark, or when he describes the sky as rosy-fingered. King Richard I was known as Richard the Lion-Hearted, or another example is King William I, who was the first Norman king of England and was known as William the Conqueror. Epics also contain similes. These are called epic similes, which are devices of comparisons that are so extended that the primary object of description is completely eclipsed by the second object. Epics begin in medias res, which means the author plunges into the story in the middle of things instead of starting at the beginning. And finally, epics contain an invocation to the muse, which is an address to a deity usually for help in order to tell the story.